Okay, so for this math talk, this is called which one does not belong. There's no one right answer. There's multiple right answers. And instead of a sticky note, we're going to try just thinking in our heads. When you have one answer, go ahead and raise one finger. So A does not belong because, make sure you have an answer. And then if you have one for A, see if you can come up with a reason why B does not belong. Once you have an answer, raise two fingers. And then try to come up with as many reasons as you can for why each of the quadrants does not belong. Either A, B, C, or D, okay? All right, so go ahead and think in your head and raise your finger with how many reasons you have. Yeah, like one reason why A doesn't belong, or you have another reason why B doesn't belong.
C doesn't belong.
Just don't say it yet. You're just thinking in your head. And I'm gonna wait till everyone raises at least one or two fingers. If you need to write them down, feel free to write them down in your head. You're thinking right now. If you have one answer, put one answer. One answer. Two fingers up. Diana, waiting on you. Right. So if you have an answer, raise one finger up. You have two answers, put two fingers up. Once everyone has at least one finger up, we'll go ahead and share with our two fingers. Answering the question.
What do we answer this?
Which one doesn't belong and why?
Do you see it?
No, you just.
No,
Es
three.
una, cada una es un paso.
No, two fingers means you have two reasons why one of them doesn't belong or the other one doesn't belong. Alright, I think everyone has at least one finger up. So go ahead and share with your team members. The person closest to that window goes first. And then be ready for someone in your team to share what y'all said. So, person closest to the window, my right, your left, go first. Go ahead and share.
I think C doesn't belong because it's only family. And letter.
Can she turn down?
Letter.
He's going around, but they don't share. Right, go ahead and share. Okay, pick one person in your team to share what everyone in your team said. I'm gonna ask y'all to write these down if you can. Any new vocab words or any review of vocab words. Okay, so let's begin. Let's start with this table. Which one doesn't belong and why? What did y'all say?
Maybe C because it doesn't touches the x-axis.
Ooh, okay. So C, here's the Y and the x-axis, right? And you're saying, what's another word for it does not touch the x-axis? Anyone know? Does not what? Say that again? Intercept. So this one does not intercept x-axis. So good vocab word. Anything else from this team? Okay. Okay, next team. What did y'all say?
I put that letter C doesn't belong there because it's only parabola there.
Ooh, this one's a parabola. Which makes it what type of function? Anyone remember?
No.
Starts
Not
with
function.
Q. Quadratic.
Is it a function?
This, how do we know if something is a function? Anyone remember?
The vertical axis.
So to see if it is a function, you're right. This function is a function. Well, let's hear from this team in the back. What did y'all find out? Okay, so this one, if you do the horizontal line test, it does not pass the horizontal. What does the horizontal line test tell us? Anyone remember? Does anyone remember what the No, let's review. So horizontal line test tells us whether the inverse is a function. So for this one, is the inverse a function if it does not pass the horizontal line test? The answer is no. So write that in your notes because I think we forgot that. Does not pass the horizontal line test, therefore the inverse, I'm gonna write this over here, the inverse is not a function. So notice, if it passes the vertical line test, it passes the vertical line test, therefore it is a function, but the horizontal line test tells us about the inverse. The inverse is not a function. Let me ask a question.
Means inverse function, and you're trying to find whether it is a function or not.
Which test do you use?
Horizontal.
Yes.
So it's not inverse, it's vertical.
No. You use vertical when you're checking whether this, the function that is given, is a function. Or the equation or the graph that is given. You're checking if this is a function, then it should pass the vertical line test. But the horizontal line test is to test the inverse of that graph. Does that make sense? The vertical line test is to test the graph that is given. To test if it's a function or not. But if you want to check the inverse, you can use the horizontal line test. Great question. Alright, is that everything from this team?
Yeah.
Okay, make sure you add that note. If it does not pass the horizontal line test, the inverse is not a function. Okay? Alright, something from this team in the front? Anything that y'all want to share that y'all figured out? Anything from A, B, and C? Okay, A is the only linear one, right? So if it were linear, what do we know about linear functions? Anything else you want to write for linear functions? It's a yeah, linear function is a function because it passes the vertical line test.
Oh yeah, consistent pattern.
Say that again?
Consistent pattern.
Okay, it's a consistent pattern. It passes the vertical line. And it's a consistent, what do we call this? The rise over the run? Yeah, it's a consistent slope. Okay? Alright, did anyone else figure out something about B? Why does B not belong? What's special about B? Anything from anyone?
What? Letter B?
Yeah, letter B. Any reason for why B would not belong?
Why does it do that?
Why does it look like that? What do you think we did to B to make it look like that?
You erase them.
Yeah, what? Say that again? We restricted it. When we restrict it, this is called restricting. Go ahead and write this down. Restricting the domain. What would be the domain for this one if this value right here is -1? Anyone want to attempt writing the domain for that? What would be the domain for that in interval notation? Bracket or parentheses? Bracket, -1, comma, infinity. Yes? And then no one said anything about D. Do we want to add anything for D? Why does D not belong, ladies? Why could B not belong? Any reason? Take a guess. Any reason for why D would not belong? Okay, this one. So what does that mean if it passes the horizontal line test? Yeah, the inverse is a function. Okay. Does anyone know what type of shape this is? It looks like a little snake. Or what the name of this is? Alright, we'll just add this one. The name of this is called a cubic. It's the only one that's cubic function, like x to the third. Okay, we'll learn about polynomials later. Alright, this was a little review of the vocab we've learned. So great job. I'll have these up on the board so that way we can use it as a word wall.